Two of three victims killed during Hurricane Ophelia have been pictured as fears grow for hundreds of thousands of people across Ireland and the UK. Michael Pike, 31, was killed after he went to cut up a tree which had fallen on a road, while Claire O'Neill, in her 50s, suffered fatal injuries when a branch smashed through her windscreen. A third male victim also died in Ravensdale, Dundalk, Ireland, after a tree struck the car he was in at around 2:45 p.m. Remnants of the hurricane battered Britain's west coast on Monday afternoon, with gusts of up to 80 miles per hour, exactly 30 years after the Great Storm of 1987 killed 18 people. Scores of homes were left without power, schools closed early, trees fell onto roads and bridges were shut on the UK mainland. Ophelia is also causing travel chaos, with hundreds of flights cancelled and bus, ferry and rail services disrupted. For all the latest updates, read below. 2256. A freak tornado has been spotted off the west coast of England amid 24 hours of bizarre weather conditions. The looming twister was pictured towering over rooftops in the tiny village of Catton by a stunned photographer in Morecambe, Lancashire. The dark funnel-shaped cloud could be seen amid stormy conditions sparked by Hurricane Ophelia. Tornado alert, an image of what looks like a twister taken over Catton. The Twitter account Morecambe Bay posted. 2211 Locals on Ireland's most northerly point have braved Storm Ophelia for a first-hand view of its impact on the Atlantic. As the ex-hurricane swept north, huge waves crashed into clifftops and blew the roof off a caravan at Mullen Head. Local man Kevin Farron said, "I was sitting in my house looking out the window when I saw the roof of one of the caravans nearest blow clean off. It just got lifted by the storm and blew along. There are boats all along the pier here which the fishermen haven't taken in. I'm not sure they'll still be there when they come back tomorrow. The wind is always rough here. It's certainly not the worst we've ever seen. Unless things get much worse overnight, it won't have been too bad." Two Donegal locals take a selfie at Banba's Crown, Mullen Head image. Mullen Head previously held the record for the highest wind speed recorded on the island of Ireland at 113 miles per hour in 1961. It is thought that record has now transferred to Cork following Ophelia. Meteorologists with Met Éireann measured winds of 34 knots, or 40 miles per hour, at Mullen Head as the storm swept over. Another local, who declined to be named, said he lived nearby but had driven up to the clifftop at Banba Crown out of curiosity to see the storm as it passed. "It's the first time we've ever had a red weather warning round these parts, so I came up to see what it would be like," he said. "It's not that different to what we'd be used to the rest of the time, because we have strong winds round here all the time as it's so exposed. I think we'll be safe enough." Many businesses in the surrounding area, including shops and cafes, were closed as a precautionary measure following warnings from authorities that people should not make unnecessary journeys. 2157 Traffic Watch NI said as of 6 p.m. this evening there were 179 fallen trees or branches across the region's roads. Southdown is the area hardest hit by the storm on Monday evening, and Traffic Watch NI points out that out of that 179 figure, 83 are roads in coastal parts of the county. Meanwhile, there are now 18,500 customers without electricity due to felled and damaged power lines. And while schools and further education colleges will shut for a second day on Tuesday, both Queen's University and Ulster University will reopen. 2151 Residents have been evacuated from apartments in Rogers Quay, Carrickfergus, due to a risk of flooding posed by tidal surges. They have been taken to a local council hall for the evening, the PSNI said. A pub in Carrickfergus has also had to be evacuated tonight. In a tweet from the J.D. Wetherspoon Central Bar, staff said, "Folks, on advice from the PSNI, we have had to evacuate the pub due to a possible, and I must stress possible, storm surge coming up Belfast Lough." They added, "Stay safe, do not attempt to come to the pub at this time. We will keep you posted." 2139 Today has been a difficult and challenging one for our health services, and I want to thank all of those who came to work today and went above and beyond. We do expect some continued disruption over the coming days, but we can expect a gradual return to normal services, and that is now our priority. The message for tomorrow is, if you have an appointment, turn up as planned, unless you hear otherwise. In the event of a cancellation, people will be contacted. Simon Harris is an Irish Fine Gael politician who has served as Minister for Health since May 2016. But people can expect some delays in their appointments and discharges from hospitals over the next few days. The main focus of our community services tomorrow and in the coming days will be dealing with the most vulnerable patients. Following the significant disruption today, it is expected that both emergency departments and GP will be very busy tomorrow, so I would ask if you don't have an appointment, and if it's not urgent, please don't attend your GP or hospital. 2130 Seafoam whipped up by the wind of Hurricane Ophelia has covered the promenade at Trarydor Bay, in Holyhead, Wales. The substance, which looks like snow, coated vehicles and pavements. High winds blew the foam against houses and trees, soaking everything in its path. The foam looked like snow. Image Getty Images Europe. Drivers were told to stay off the roads when possible. Image Getty Images Europe. Visibility was very poor. Image Getty Images Europe. The foam was blown from nearby thrashing waves. Image Getty Images Europe. 2,125 useful numbers to have for those affected by Storm Ophelia in Northern Ireland. Floodline 0300 2100. Housing Executive out of hours 03448920901 NI Water 03457440088 Transport NEO 300 200 7891 Transport NE out of hours 028 70353202 NIE Networks 03457 643 643 NI Gas Emergency Service 0800 002 001 Ferry Check 08705 755 755 2115 A man stripped off and took a dip in a flooded car park in Galway this afternoon. He was not the only swimmer to take advantage of the adverse weather conditions, as a 72-year-old man defied Coast Guard warnings and plunged from a nearby promenade. Timmy Flaherty said, "There's nothing wrong with the water. It's getting back into the tower, that's the trouble. You're safe enough in the water if you don't panic. The secret of the whole thing is not to panic." 2109 High Street in Bangor was closed due to dangerous scaffolding today. The temporary structure partially collapsed during high winds. The precariously balanced wooden planks and metal poles posed a risk to traffic and pedestrians. 2059 winds of up to 118 miles per hour were measured on Fastnet Rock, in South Ireland, earlier today. The news comes as Sean Hogan, chair of the Republic of Ireland's National Emergency Coordination Group, warned there will continue to be many hazards as winds die down overnight. He said there are still dangers out there, dangers of fallen trees on roads as people start to move around again and of power lines. The wind threat was high. Image Twitter at CC_Stormwatch 2030 Authorities across Ireland are counting the cost of one of the most intense storm systems to hit the country. The southwest coast is thought to have suffered the brunt of the damage, with Cork one of the worst hit areas. The roof of the Derrynane stand in Turner's Cross, home of Cork City Football Club, was pulled down. The team, on course to win the League of Ireland, had been due to host Derry City on Tuesday evening. In Kinsale, a corrugated iron roof was blown down a street, damaging cars, while a wooden beam smashed through the roof of an apartment while a man was inside. Foreign Affairs Minister Simon Coveney tweeted a photo of the torn-off roof from the barn at his Co-Cork home. In Douglas, Co-Cork, the roof of the community school's gym was also damaged. A family in Middleton had a lucky escape when a tree came down on their house while they were inside. Slates also flew off buildings in Cork City Centre and from St. Mary's Cathedral in Killarney. The cost of repairs is expected to run to millions, with the vast majority done by the hundreds of trees flattened in high winds. 2016 Key event. First pictures have emerged of two of the three people killed during Hurricane Ophelia today. Michael Pike was fatally injured after he went to cut up a tree which had fallen on a road between the village of Ballyluby and Caphere in the Ballybrotto area of Co Tipperary. The 31-year-old died at the scene. Michael Pike tragically died in the storm. Image Irish Mirror. Claire's car was crushed by a fallen tree. Image Irish Mirror. And Claire O'Neill, in her 50s, was killed after a tree fell on her car in Waterford. It is believed the Momophone, who was driving a car in which a woman in her 70s was a passenger, suffered a fatal injury when the branch of a tree fell on the vehicle and went through the windscreen. For the full story, click here. 1917 Hurricane Ophelia will spread across Scotland tonight, the Met Office reports. Hundreds of thousands more will be affected by further wet and windy weather into the early hours of Tuesday. Gales ripped through Northern Ireland during this evening's rush hour, prompting an amber warning to be issued. 1859 Sinn Féin President Gerry Adams has expressed his shock and deep sadness over the deaths of 3 people in Storm Ophelia. He said, "I would urge everyone to heed the advice of the emergency services and stay indoors, and I want to commend the courage of the first responders who are risking life and limb helping those in trouble." Gerry Adams echoed advice issued by the emergency services. Image AP1842 football player Mike Ahern posted a picture to Twitter of a collapsed subs bench. "Spent many a game sitting on my backside as a sub for Limerick FC at Hogan Park," he said. Glad IWASNT there today. 1836 Northern Ireland Electricity says about 16,000 customers are now without electricity in the region. It expects that number to increase as winds are strengthening. Age UK is reminding people to check on family and friends who are vulnerable and may be cold, alone or plunged into darkness during the storm. 1822 Shocking footage of a school roof being blown off has been posted online. Douglas Community School in Cork, Ireland, lost a metal sheet protecting its gym in high winds today. A video filmed by Owen English shows the roof fly over houses and slam into a back garden. It is unclear whether anyone was injured. 1812 Over 100 calls have been made by members of the public concerned about homeless people, according to Government Minister Owen Murphy. 1802 Key EVENTA charity has warned those with severe asthma to check forecasts and stay indoors where possible to avoid the dust. Sonia Mund, head of the helpline at Asthma UK, said we are deeply concerned about the toxic air from Saharan dust that Hurricane Ophelia has churned up, as this could pose a severe risk for the 5.4 million people in the UK who have asthma. Winds picking up dust and particles in the air could trigger potentially fatal asthma attacks. The sky turned orange in London today. Image Splash News 1756 Dramatic scenes have emerged from Cornwall and Devon on the southwest coast of the UK. Waves whipped up by Hurricane Ophelia crashed over the seafront in Penzance. Hurricane Ophelia comes exactly 30 years after the Great Storm of 1987. 3 people have been killed in the storm so far. Giant waves thrashed against the shore. Image Getty Images Europa Sea was pictured looking furious. Image Reuters Storm Ophelia sends waves crashing up onto Penzance seafront. Image Getty Images Europa 3 people were killed as remnants of the storm hit the UK and Ireland. Image Getty Images Europe 1748 Photos have emerged of families strolling along a pier wall during Storm Ophelia. The individuals can be seen struggling to walk on East Pier in Howth, Dublin, Ireland, as gusts of up to 80 miles per hour battered the coast. 3 people have been confirmed dead in Ireland in incidents related to Storm Ophelia. One family held on to one another. Image Paving men crouched on the ground to steady themselves. Image paw waves crashed around the walkers. Image PA 1736 A pensioner who took a dip in the Atlantic as the eye of Storm Ophelia approached Ireland's west coast has claimed the secret to survival is to stay calm. Toweling himself off in the relative shelter of a changing hut on the Salthill Promenade near Galway City, 72-year-old Timmy Flaherty said he expected a backlash for his exploits. "I'll never panic no matter what, it's super," he said. "There's nothing wrong with the water. It's getting back into the tower, that's the trouble. You're safe enough in the water if you don't panic. The secret of the whole thing is not to panic." Waves battered the coast in Galway. Image Rex Shutterstock. The Blackrock diving boards in Salthill are a hugely popular swimming spot with local enthusiasts taking to the sea every day of the year. Mr. Flaherty, from the nearby Claddagh area of Galway City, also never misses a day. He was in the water for about a minute. Warnings have been issued not to enter the water. Image Rex Shutterstock. He walked in off a flight of steps on the Blackrock diving boards and was almost immediately pushed towards the rocky shoreline and another set of steps where he steadily climbed out. While he took a dip, dozens of baffled onlookers and amateur photographers tried to capture the scene. Local officers sounded sirens from patrol cars and urged the public off the promenade. 1724 The Peace Bridge across the River Foyle in Londonderry, one of the city's most famous sites, has been closed as a precaution. All cemeteries, parks and play areas have now also been closed across Derry and Strabane. The Department for Infrastructure had advised road users to take care as Ophelia tracks its way north. Other key point: schools in Republic of Ireland to be shut for second day. Woman killed by falling tree and man killed in chainsaw accident. Another man believed to have been killed by falling tree. 350,000 homes and businesses without power. 1719 A number of flights to UK airports have been diverted after smoke smells were reported on board. EasyJet said 4 of its flights were diverted due to atmospheric circumstances. A British Airways spokeswoman said the carrier has had some reports of smells on board, but the aircraft continued to their destinations. Liverpool's John Lennon Airport stated that atmospheric conditions are believed to be causing flights to divert. There were disruptions to flights due to atmospheric circumstances. Image Afpan EasyJet spokeswoman said EasyJet can confirm that 4 of its flights flying in the west of the UK have reported smoke smells in the cockpit today, believed to be linked to atmospheric circumstances due to Storm Ophelia. 2 flights returned shortly after takeoff and 2 flights requested an expedited landing as a precaution only. We understand other airlines have experienced similar events and we continue to liaise with the Met Office as to the likely cause, the safety and welfare of our passengers and crew is EasyJet's highest priority. We would like to apologize for any inconvenience experienced by the diversions. Smoke smell seeped into the cockpit. Image PA-1702 during a training session in Moray Firth today. The Inverness Coast Guard helicopter helped locate a cockapoo being swept out to sea at Cummingstown. According to reports, the dog was safely rescued by a Moray inshore lifeboat. 16:50 and a fresh Met-Iran weather warning. Residents have been urged to remain indoors until the storm has passed. The update comes as a third person is reported to have died in the former hurricane. 1629 KUIEVENT. A third person has died in Storm Ophelia after a tree fell on a car in Ravensdale, Dundalk, killing a male occupant, Gardaí have said. The severe weather has also claimed the lives of a woman in her 50s, and a man in his 30s, in separate incidents earlier today. 1625 Schools in Ireland will remain closed tomorrow, the Irish Government Minister for Education has said. Richard Bruton said following careful consideration by the National Emergency Coordination Group, the Department of Education and Skills has decided that all schools will remain closed tomorrow. He said the decision has been made in the interests of the safety of children. 1620 People have been baffled by the strange and ominous-looking sky over the UK and Ireland today. One Twitter user asked strangest sky over London. Ophelia related James Cracknell, also posting photos of London, said the sun went red, and then the sky did too. 1607 A number 10 spokesperson said the Prime Minister spoke to Taoiseach Leo Varadkar this afternoon. On Storm Ophelia, the Prime Minister expressed her sympathies for the loss of life and said the UK government stood ready to provide any support if requested. They discussed the political situation in Northern Ireland and their shared concern over the lack of devolved government in Northern Ireland for over 9 months. Both leaders noted that while progress has been made over the past few weeks, significant gaps still remained, and it was up to the two main parties to overcome differences and reach agreement. The Prime Minister said she was absolutely clear that it was in the interests of everyone in Northern Ireland to see a fully functioning executive up and running so that local decisions could be made by local politicians. Prime Minister Theresa May. Image Rex Shutterstock.